go. 5, 4, 3.
Welcome, everyone, and pull up a seat at the table. It's Lunchtime in Rome. Tonight's episode 285 is titled Noise, Part 2. Tonight, we continue our discussion on the noise that distracts us from what God has for us. Is the noise just politics or much more? What can we do about it? We'll be talking about that at the table this evening. So, please pull up a seat and join us. First-time listeners can subscribe on your favorite podcast app or watch us live or later on YouTube at Lunchtime in Rome. And you can visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com, and while there, take our relational needs questionnaire. Make sure to follow us on all social media, and it would be great if you could give us a 5-star review. Jay, what's this thing all about?
At the table, we strive to love one another and help you to do the same. Some weeks we will have someone join us so that you can get to know them and learn a little bit about yourself in the process. Other weeks like this one, we continue to dive into a topic. Romans 12:15 says to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. Oh, that's what we do. So while it may not be 12:15 in Rome, we're treating it like it is lunchtime in Rome. You know, last week I stepped all over Brian, being funny, but then I didn't think it would be quite as funny as it was when I came in with the at the table. So this week I made sure to give Chris a nice long pause
I was
to
going to
make
say,
it up to Brian.
That's like your longest pause.
Long pause.
Good thing you made it up to Brian.
Yes. So we are talking about noise. And
He's not here.
last week I referenced some of the noise that we were going through, which was Joe's situation and then Bella getting a rash and then I don't know if I mentioned Rachel getting a similar rash, but it took her to urgent care on Friday. What?
I didn't realize you had already been.
Oh, yeah. So Bella went last Wednesday.
Wow.
And wasn't really better by Friday. And Rachel was real bad by Friday, but didn't want to go to urgent care, didn't want to get steroids. Went, got them. Bella started to get better through the weekend. Rachel did not. Rachel didn't get better on Monday. And didn't sleep Monday into Tuesday. She was so itchy, and it was still spreading, even though she's on a lot of both steroids and steroid cream.
Wow, that's crazy.
So didn't sleep at all, and then had day at the zoo with the kids, which Bella went, and that was beautiful and wonderful. The kids meaning at her work. And then as of early last evening, she's like, I can't take it. And she's like, well, and I said, okay, well, let's wait. Because I'm looking online, you can check different hospitals' waits, and they're all 3 hours and more for the ER. And I said, why don't you just see if you can make it through the night? If you can't, then we'll go to urgent care in the morning, because then they'll say, oh, let's just up your dosage. Or they'll go, oh, dear God. And then they'll send you to the ER.
Right.
And maybe we'll get in sooner. Well, by the end of the evening, she had texted me, which is why when people were over Friday night or Tuesday night, I was heading upstairs. She's like, I got to go. And I'm like,
wow.
Okay. And I'm like, do you want to go right now? And she's like, no, trounced down in front of everybody.
Right.
So waited, kicked you guys all out. Sweet moment from Bella. Because after you guys all left, she turned and looked at me. She goes, are you okay, Dad?
Aw.
And I was like, idiot, your mother has had a rash for 5 days. That's why I kicked everybody out. She's like, oh, that makes more sense.
Oh, see here, and I thought she was just
no, she was not
checking in with you.
No, she thought
Okay.
like something was wrong with me.
Yeah.
And that's why I kicked everybody out.
Well, but there was...
Yeah, but that's not what she was saying. It was just a cute little innocent moment.
Yeah.
Idiot.
So Rachel and I go to the
Because you
ER.
did look a little agitated. Like, you did look a little...
It
Yeah.
was time to go.
There was
Well, and clearly table talk.
Yeah.
That the first time I went up when she said, I have to go, we have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
She's like, how much is left? And I was like, about 20 minutes. And then when I came downstairs and I checked, it was like 34. And I'm like, well, that's not good. So that was already a stressor and everything else.
Yeah.
So 11, and so AGH Monroeville, it said on their website, 4-hour wait. Now I prefer to go there because I've heard bad things about UPMC East, but whatever. So I'm like, okay, we'll go to UPMC East. And I don't want to let this secret out, but people have told me today, you go to the new one in Harmarville.
Oh.
Shortest times in Pittsburgh.
All right.
Okay.
Don't let that,
I didn't hear
I don't want
anything.
breaking 90, using our stuff.
We'll edit this out.
From Nebraska.
From Nebraska.
So 11:45, we walk in. And of course, we walk in with this guy who was outside smoking a cigarette, tried to bypass the security line, but then realized that he can't do that. And I can just tell, like, all right, so he's somebody I'm going to be watching. And he's wearing like an 80s leather jacket, like not quite Michael Jackson, but in that milieu.
Yeah.
But shorts and white tennis shoes. And the guy he cannot sit still.
Yeah.
And he's fidgeting. And he goes up to the counter and he's like, I'm just going to get out of here.
And remind us, what time is this now?
11:45 is when we check in.
Got it.
PM.
Yep. PM.
And I'm telling the ladies, I appreciate, because he's weird, and he's like, I'm just gonna discharge myself. They're like, that's fine. Yeah, well, can I at least get a pair of surgical gloves? And then he takes them and he goes into the bathroom.
Little party gift.
Right. And I looked at her and I said, ma'am, I appreciate everything that you do and everything else. And she sort of rolls her eyes. She says, thanks. And
She's like, that's just Frank.
And it's
He's here every other night.
and it's packed. And I mean, there's people all over the place. And there's this one woman who's like maybe 25, 30, maybe Latina, could be whatever, in a wheelchair, just like she's very attractive and looks like she's about to die. And then over here is a small little child with their parents. And we're like, poor kid. And then in the back is this lady who is throwing up so loudly into the little bags.
no.
Oh my gosh.
And so we get called back to triage, which is great. And, we tell them the story and they look at, and Rachel brought everything and she shows them the steroid cream. And the guy goes, holy cow. Because that's the strongest stuff they sell. Well, that's not good. Like, we're
Right.
hoping that they go, here's the good stuff.
You never want a nurse to hear a nurse or a doctor say, holy cow.
And so we go back and we sit down now that, we're and I've got my patient pants, not patient, but patience
Yes.
pants on.
Yep.
It's going to be a long night. I get it.
Yep.
And I got to keep looking at the crazy guy. I think that's the term. Because he's volatile.
Yeah.
And at one
Yeah,
point
yeah.
he's yelling in the phone at his mother.
Okay, no, wait. He's come out of the bathroom.
Oh, he came out, by the way.
Does he
No
still
gloves,
have? Okay, all
but
right.
then I go in the bathroom later, which I didn't want to, but at some point my bladder would have burst, and then I'd have to go in and get in line. And there were no gloves in the bathroom either. So I don't know what happened to him. He's outside, inside, this and that, on the phone with his mother, who sounds drunker than a skunk, telling him he's got to go
On
up to the
speakerphone.
counter. Oh, yeah.
Love
For
it.
the world to hear.
It's the best.
But I've got to keep an eye on him because he's volatile. But I can't let him know that I'm keeping an eye on him because then I've drawn attention to myself. Meanwhile, lady's still puking in the back. And it comes to me, I'm like, all right, she seems like dope sick. Like she's run out of whatever drug she's on and now she's sick. It just seemed that way.
Yeah.
But I'm like, on the other hand, maybe she's just sick. And I'm like, well, that sucks. Because either she's a drug addict going through withdrawal or she's a nice, normal, not drug addict person
Having a bad night.
having the worst of nights. I mean, I probably saw her hurl 15 times.
Oh my gosh.
And then she would just melt into the chair and everything else. And then this woman comes in with these big dark sunglasses on, and then she took them off. And I'm like, oh, that's why you have them on. Like somebody popped her real good in the eyeball.
Oh my gosh.
Hurl, puke again. And then bodybuilder dude walks in. I mean, right out of Central Casting. Bleached hair, gigantic chest, spaghetti strap tank top, carrying a acai juice and a protein drink, and gauges that you could almost fit a cue ball through in his ears.
Oy.
Yeah.
And he's the dying Latina woman's boyfriend. And I was like, see, people think he's racist, but look, he's got a woman of color for a girlfriend. Goes up to her, as gentle of a person I've ever seen in my life. It was the most anomalistic thing you've ever seen. Throw up in the back again. I've got to pee again. And then Rachel goes, okay, I figured it out. She said, we're third because enough people had gone back.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm really sorry. I didn't think it would take this long. And at this point,
How long in are you?
now we're in the 2-hour mark.
Okay.
And we're third.
Feels like 8.
Somewhat normal looking woman comes and sits 2 down from me. And I'm
Oh,
like,
that's not good.
She's normal. Gets out, starts playing a game on her phone. Volume up.
Gets up?
No, volume
I know, but
up.
you mean gets
She's
out her
play-
phone?
She gets out her phone and is
Okay.
playing a
I thought you
game on
said
her
gets
phone.
up, like stands up and
no,
starts
but
playing.
with the volume
Because that would be
on.
another weird element.
Yes,
like
it would.
You stand up and play a phone game. Yeah.
Hurl in the back. And I'm texting Bella because she's checking with us because she's worried. And she said, I cleaned the bathroom because I felt bad. And that's cute and everything else. And then I looked and I'm like, okay, no, she's just seemingly normal. But now the more I look at this woman, she's not normal at all, just normal compared to the crowd. Now, we're third in line, and an hour goes by, and we're third in line. Nobody's moved. And then I start to get this panic because I'm seeing people come out that I didn't see go in.
Right.
So when did they even get there?
So
now,
who went in ahead of you?
Over 3 hours ago.
oh, lots of people.
Okay.
Almost everybody. There was only 3 left, and then us.
All right. So okay, yeah.
But anyhow, so we go back at the 3.5 hour mark. And it's great. Like, she's uncomfortable and hanging in there. I mean, she's bouncing her knees, which drives her crazy when anyone does. And I'm trying to distract, not too much, don't want to be too much me at times. I do have to be me. So I'm being a little silly at times, whatever else. And then, we're in this hallway. We're not even in a room. And I can see like the glass ball mirror thing.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, not coming for us. Not coming. Oh, didn't come for us. And then just, anyhow.
You see people like passing the other in the other hallway or whatever. Okay, yeah.
Finally, here comes Dr. Rashmandre. Love. And by the way, the nurses, the intake people, everybody's lovely.
Yeah.
That works there.
But you're not getting ahead of the line. With
and I said that to Rachel at one point. I said, hey, honey, I know you thought, as you always do, it was a bit much when I was thanking the receptionist people. I said, but you never know when you might get a little extra favor, stuff like that. And then about the 3 hour mark, I'm like, or they sit you way in the back because they know you're not going to be a complainer.
Should have said Chester, like her. Yeah.
So Dr. Rashmandre comes up, Middle Eastern woman, delightful. She says, yes, I'm Dr. Rash. And I'm like, well, that's insensitive.
That's
That's amazing. That's amazing.
excellent.
On the other hand, who better?
Right.
Who better? So, long story short, they think that perhaps her dermatitis has changed into a bacterial infection. And so they gave her a double dose of 2 crazy antibiotics and said she could go with Benadryl cream as well because the Benadryl pills weren't working, whatever else. So we got home just before 5.
Oh, my gosh.
And
did she stay home?
Oh,
from work?
she'd already called off at that
Okay.
point. And I took a steamy shower, 1 to let her calm down, and 2 to get all the ER gunk off me. I know Amy would probably love the smell like she does after Kenny would.
Yeah, she'd sleep in it.
She loves ER funk.
ER.
When you said hurl again this time or whatever, it reminded me of what's that line dance that's popular at weddings? It's like 2 steps this time.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
Yeah, right. Right foot.
2 hurls this time. Yeah. Oh, woof.
And she's doing okay. And like at one point this afternoon. And so my point is that.
And this was last night.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is Wednesday. For context.
Now, to her credit, she went to bed at 5, woke up at 9, took a Benadryl pill, which she hasn't taken an actual. She's been taking like non-drowsy antihistamines, and they're not doing anything. And was able to fall back asleep. So she got like, 7-8 hours of sleep, which has never happened. So, boy, it's a lot of noise.
noise.
It's real. She's actually taken off tomorrow. And like, it's funny because all of her coworkers are like, you have 71 sick days. You have 71 sick days saved up. Don't come in.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know, but she's already called off.
I'd be taking 5.
And me trying to join her emotion. And she's like, I just don't feel well. And I said, okay, is it the itchy? Is it the heavy doses of steroids you're on? Is it the 2 major antibiotics you're on?
Yes.
Is it and I was like, oh, it's all of that,
Yeah.
isn't it? She's like, yes. I said, there's a lot going on. She's like, yes.
Wow.
And one of the antibiotics is Bactrim, which we used to give to Trey.
Wow.
She like to come a little full circle there.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
So she's got a circle.
nice and sad that you remember
Yes.
the exact.
And Rachel confirmed he didn't care for it. Neither does she.
Okay.
So he wasn't a liar.
Good to know.
So she's got to circle some of the outbreaks to make sure they don't get bigger. And then the next step would be inpatient and IV drip.
Right. Don't want to do that. Don't want it to come to that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And the other noise of last week with the oven door breaking, and then we bought a $52 part to fix it, which didn't fix it, but then we jerry-rigged it, and then still didn't work. So then I got a new stove at Laketon TV and Appliance. My man Gary Pietropola hooked us up. It's good to know people. I won't say how he hooked us up, but he hooked us up. Am I still out close to $1,000? Sure. But am I getting a nice brand new stove? And I looked online yesterday at pictures on Facebook, and I kept scrolling back in my kitchen to see how long we'd had that stove. first of all, I take a lot of pictures from the sink towards the fridge and the opening. Not many sink towards the stove.
I remember when you got that oven.
Which was?
Oh, I don't remember the date, but I remember you getting it. Yeah.
Anyhow, it's
August 5th.
between 9 and 10 years. So it's not a complete wash. Like, you want it to last longer, but...
Yeah, it's like $100, whatever you spent for it, $1,000. It's $100 a year.
I probably spent like 6 or 7 back in the day.
Yeah.
And this one I got for $7.99 plus $75 removal plus tax. So
$60-$70 a year.
Yeah, but it's a real nice one.
Break it down.
Got
It's not bad.
You know, I mean, if I should have anything, it's a good grill and a good.
I was
stove.
gonna say, if anybody deserves a good oven stove, it's you, buddy.
Yeah. So that's how I am.
All right. You want to go? You want me to go?
That's a lot.
It's a good time.
I don't know. I'll go.
Okay.
So let's see. Well, first of all, Amy and I had a really great weekend. Of course, it was Memorial Day weekend. That doesn't play in because
GOTL.
yes, we went up to Geneva on the Lake with our friends Kevin and Jen, and who have a little place up there, and just had a great relaxing time. And anybody,
weather.
well, okay, so that's exactly where I was going. Anybody in the area currently knows like Western PA weather, and I mean, northeastern Ohio is not far away, so same kind of weather pattern. However, it did clear up enough that it was very
You were
pleasant.
there through Monday.
We left Monday morning.
Oh.
So basically,
Monday would have been a great day.
yeah, probably the best day. Yeah, but honestly, it really wasn't as bad as I thought because it could get so it's windy on the lake, but it really wasn't bad. And guess what I did? For the first time
Disc
in
golf.
37 weeks, I disc golfed.
37 weeks.
That I looked back on UDisc, and it's 37 weeks since you and I played at
Did you
the
play
church.
by yourself?
No, with Kevin.
Oh, there you
Yeah. There's a place up in Ashtabula.
go. The one you played before. The nice community
Correct.
park.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this time it was not so icy windy whenever we were right next to the or in view of the lake. So it was really better weather. And first time in 37 weeks, it felt really good. Like I wasn't throwing far, but I was
Never
like
have.
I meant relatively.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
Chris Bomber Davidson, they
yeah,
call
that's
him.
what they call me. But it really wasn't bad. And so it felt really good. So I'm excited for our upcoming disc golf trip. And I just feel like, it's going to just feel just right to I got back into the just watching that disc fly, when you release it just right and you're like, oh, that's so pretty.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah.
And hearing the chains. Watching it roll.
Ooh, I almost got
Watching it roll, yeah.
I almost got my first ace ever. I mean, it was only on like a 180-foot hole or
Doesn't
whatever.
matter.
Doesn't
But,
matter.
hyzering in real nice and just sort of grazed them and a little tinkle of the chains and yeah. And then I missed my birdie putt.
As you should. The almost ace. It's sort of like, would you rather have not even hit the cage?
Well, so I thought the same thing.
I don't mean that like as to where it ends up, but the hope of.
I got you.
Like
Right.
if you didn't hit the cage, then you're just like, it was a good shot.
Right.
But if you hit the cage or
I
the chain,
missed.
Yeah.
it was there, but I almost had it,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
We also, we found some really cool records. There is a place in Hermitage called Flipside Records.
Well, basically,
Eric, you have to-
that's where we're playing 2 rounds in our disc golf
Ooh,
trip.
we got to stop by there at the
Exciting.
Hermitage. Flipside Records. It's also an antique store, so it might have another half to the name. But
Do they have a T-shirt that says "Catch you on the flip side"?
not that I know of.
They should.
But it is like I walked in and I'm like, okay, this is just disorganized. This is I'm not going to be able to look through all this and enjoy it. False, because when the lady came out and she and her this elderly couple, I guess, run the place. But he was the one behind the counter when we walked in. I was like, oh, yeah. Because I started looking through the records, and it seemed like there was no rhyme or reason. And I'm like, hey, is there any rhyme or reason to this? I didn't use that phrase, but, And he doesn't even answer me. He just starts calling out to his wife. He's like, Janet, there's people here for you. And it took her a few minutes, and he just kept calling. And it was really funny.
And you started to wonder, did Janet pass away last year?
Is Janet real?
Eventually it was like, everybody's waiting for you. And nobody else is in the
He
store.
turns his back to you, and then he turns around again. He's wearing lipstick, and he's like, Janet here? You're like, this got really weird.
Well, here she comes out,
she
and
was
man, oh man, is she like a spitfire? She is with it. She's like, yep. If you go to this row and this row, these are all rock. This row, this row, this row, da, 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 and they're all alphabetical. And yes, they were. Once I actually got to like the right area,
Yeah.
No
They were.
signage for that though.
not like on the ends of the rows. You know, it was you had to get a little deeper in to say, oh, okay, this I can see
Never
it now.
owned a record
Yeah.
shop.
You know?
I shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it was super well marked.
I'm
No,
gonna say that's part of our retirement plan. Open up a disc golf store and record
and a
store
record store
right
in
next to
one.
it.
Ooh, yeah.
Jay, you run the disc golf store.
okay. I thought I was running the snack bar, but go ahead.
So among other things, I won't say everything we found, obviously, that's too much, but among other things, back in the day when the kids were younger, we used to do, like, we'd be out on a Saturday driving to some activity, and we had these Saturday songs that we would sing together in the car. And one of them, no idea how it came about, was Superstitious by Europe, the band Europe.
Yeah.
And I think we played it. I played it for you guys at some, like, you know, when we're watching funny videos or something, you know, back in the day. But that was just one of our songs. We found not one, but 2 Europe albums that she had there. We snatched them up. They were in really good shape.
What's that run you? $10?
So it just depends on where. Like, every place is a little bit different.
There's a lot of different factors.
These were
Basically, I'm specifically asking about those two.
Yes, these were in pretty good shape, not perfect. It was 18 a piece.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that is a
It's not cheap.
price of a disc.
Yeah. So you can go, like, you can get lucky and go to like a flea market
Sure,
or something.
we talked about that for
Yeah.
sure. That's
but
where you get
this
your
was
fines.
she was on it. She was like pulling every
You're
single
not
record
getting
out.
deals at a place like that.
Right.
They know.
Exactly. Record stores are not the cheap place to buy
But
records.
that's what's great about the Discogs thing, because I've used that to see
Online,
like,
yeah.
to see like what the going price is for something, and if it's within the range, like
Right.
minus shipping,
Yeah.
you know, might as well get it here. at the
I
store.
just wanted these, so I didn't even check.
Sure.
But
And I'll bet in a place like that, you can say, 18. How about 15?
right. If I buy these two, how about 15 a piece?
Right.
Yeah,
we didn't do that.
It's not your style. Not my style. either.
Yeah.
you
I
just
can't.
wanted them, and you were
Yeah,
getting them.
I just did it.
I need that guy, by the way.
Yeah, like in your hip pocket all the time.
Yeah,
like just,
no. Like, there's people that they're going to negotiate everything. They're never going to pay retail.
And what's funny is like,
I can't go anywhere with that guy because I'll be nervous and uncomfortable.
because just you being you, I feel like you could be that guy.
I think I could be, but I cannot be.
So let's take a little sidebar.
Yeah.
Into that. So, is it high need of acceptance?
No.
Because that's what it would be for me. Because I wouldn't want to insult
Right.
somebody
You don't
and
wanna
say
be-
like, "Oh,
yes.
$18 for this disc. How about 10?" Like, I don't want to insult them. But
Right.
then, like, at the end of the day, you know, they're just going to say no.
Right.
So who cares? And then
As my sister Marcy says, never hurts to ask.
right.
She did say though, she prefaced, she was good. And this is probably part of the reason that it didn't even come up in my mind. She was like, so we'll take these up to the front and I'll take a look and I'll let you know exactly how much they are. And the great thing is that if you don't want it, you don't have to buy it.
Well, that was front loading. Don't bargain.
Yes.
And Eric, to answer your question, I think it's more of a respect thing. I don't want to look like a weenie. I don't want to look like I'm like, I'm trying to get over on you. Like I want to be, I want to have a fair deal, which it still is a fair deal if you bargain
Yeah,
with
it's fun.
somebody.
It's funny to me because
Right.
like for respect, like I feel like
Like I'm coming in as like I'm asking you for something.
yeah.
Can you give me a better price?
Yeah. Weak.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, mind you, I did that with the tree guy.
Yeah.
That was already cutting trees down in my yard, but I wasn't even that morning thinking of cutting that tree down.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if he can give me a good enough deal, I'll do it. And he quoted me 500, and I said, can you do a better price so I don't have to go to the missus? Which is the biggest. It's borderline lying because Rachel has no idea what anything costs. I can spend anything on anything, and it doesn't matter, and she trusts me. And he gave me another $50 off,
There you
which
go.
was 1/4 the price of a similar tree somebody else was quoted. They were quoted $200.
Good on you.
$2,000. So,
And I have to tell one more record story, and this is a sentimental one. This is a good one.
yes, please do.
Yeah, my dad. I might have even mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Not the part about my dad passing away. I know I mentioned that, but my brother and sister and I were really wondering, like, what happened to his record collection. We didn't think when we went he had already moved down to Florida, and this was a decade ago that he finally sold his house in Titusville, and we went in to like just
Where?
sort of Titusville.
Heard of it?
Yeah. Gather any things that were left that we wanted to and just decide like what was trash, what wasn't, that sort of thing. And we were racking our brains because at that point I certainly wasn't into records. None of us were really, but we had grown up with records.
Yeah.
And so so on our trip down to Florida after my dad passed, we were like, what happened? We couldn't have possibly left the records sitting in the house to get trashed, right? Like they must be somewhere. Maybe he took them to Florida with him. Maybe they'll be down there when we go. And long story short, when I went up to Titusville last week to visit with family, and I went out to my grandmother's house, and
lo and behold,
before he had moved to Florida, he had told one of my aunts, his youngest sister, my Aunt Beth, that who always had, she was into records, and he said, "Will you take these? Nobody else will appreciate them the way you will," and sure, great. So in my conversation at my grandmother's about, Amy just sort of threw out there, "Oh, tell them about how you, started collecting records and da da da." So I just start talking loosely about records, and she speaks up and says, "Guess what? I have your dad's record collection."
What a great moment.
Yeah.
So yes,
And
awesome.
you can't have them.
so we went down to her house, which is next door,
She's like $3,000.
and there are 3 crates.
There you go.
Like, I don't know how many fit in a crate, but it's a lot. But 3 full crates of his records, and they're not all in great shape. I got to go through them. I got to clean them. It's going to be a process that's going to take me, a little bit at a
Time to get
time.
one of those ultrasound cleaners.
Right, I've
know?
looked into
That's what
some
I
of
was
those.
Yeah.
thinking.
They're
There's one that's like $500. That I
yeah,
saw.
they get expensive.
Buy 2 of them,
I can't do. But dirty or not, like I am so freaking happy to like A, solve the mystery.
Yeah.
But then B, like that is I came home from that Titusville trip happy just for the fact that I got to be up there and to visit family
And you
sort
said
of,
it was a good trip.
Yes, it was a
wasn't
good
a
trip.
whirlwind trip.
and right. It was very slow and cathartic. I think I used that word. But the records are like the most tangible thing
Yeah.
that I brought back, like from my dad.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and it's
just
a different.
like I get those forever.
It's a
know.
different.
that's
I
cool.
almost want to say this is going to sound too much, but like different characteristic or aroma of your dad that will stay with you as you. This
Yeah.
record. You know,
Yeah.
and you'll remember listening to it as a kid, and you'll be like, oh wow, and yeah, I mean it's going to be chock full of emotions.
Yeah.
But it'll be a continuing, part of your grief process.
Right.
Do you have a specific one that you were most excited about?
AC/DC Back in Black.
Well,
The 2 Europe albums that you found at the record store that you already had?
no, he didn't have any Europe. Yeah, no, I already knew that. Well, so there were a few. Well, first of all, I had already purchased, speaking of doubles, a couple of his favorite Beatles albums.
Yeah.
Like weeks and weeks ago. Before he had passed. And, here is his record collection, so I found his copies of those.
Yeah.
But the 2 that I was most excited about when I was in high school and college, when I would go home, or college, when I'd head home, I would always put on, he only had 1 Led Zeppelin album, but it was Led Zeppelin 1.
Yeah.
And I would put that on the record player and just like that was, I was more into Zeppelin back then than I am now. So and they're still my favorite band. And I would just love to hear that record. Found it, but it's not in great shape.
Yeah.
It was out of the case. It got scratched up against other things. So at least one side is pretty scratched up. And similarly, here's the other one that I was really as a kid, John Denver
Yeah.
and the Muppets.
Oh yeah, that's
Christmas.
a classic.
Yeah.
Are you both on board really?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I love it.
It's one of the best albums ever made.
I love it. I just so nostalgic, so good. Out of the case, scratched up. So I'm gonna mess with them, see how well they play, see what I
Yeah,
can
You're
do
gonna
with
have to buy
them.
that Sonic the Hedgehog record cleaner.
Yeah,
Spin it.
and I just got this for my birthday from Eric. It's an evening live with John Denver.
Yeah.
It's a double disc set. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you very
It's a
much.
cool one. It's a cool one.
Yeah, that'll propel you into some good listening.
Yeah, yeah.
We had a packed weekend.
How was it?
Packed, but it wasn't overwhelming.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It was
which is
whelming.
great. So
the perfect whelming.
we'll go
Yes.
through. So Friday, Amy and I picked up Maggie from school, and we took her to see the new Lilo and Stitch,
Lovely.
which is like the live action Lilo and Stitch. Very funny. We really enjoyed it,
Even as an adult.
even as an adult. Like, yeah, it was very funny. Stays true to the original animated one.
good.
Like from a plot perspective and storyline, there's a few differences, but it didn't really throw the whole thing off. But it was great, and Maggie loved it. Maggie was like, there at one point, I almost had to like be like, oh, baby girl, like shh, like she was belly laughing, But I was like, like let her have her moment and have fun, and it was great, and so that was fun. Saturday.
I'm glad they got the real Stitch to act in that one.
Yeah, about
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
And Saturday we went out to celebrate our 18-year wedding anniversary.
They-
We went to Tulum, and it was I would say upscale Mexican.
Sure.
And it was great, really good. Didn't love our seat. I should have done so. Going back to
Yep.
what we were talking about. We'll get in. The guy's gonna seat us, and he picks a table. It's on the end of how like restaurants have that really long booth, and then there's some tables, like some seat 2, some seat 4, but like one half is the booth and the other half is a chair on the outside.
You were a 2-piece on the end.
On the end, and it was right near where like the kitchen people come out.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Can we have a booth?" And he's like, "Well, it's going to be a little bit of a wait." And from what I gather, it was probably the person that was covering that section wasn't there yet. And that's why we would have to wait. And I was like, "No, it's fine." What I should have done was I should have said, "You know what, buddy? It's our anniversary and we're here to celebrate tonight. I would love it if you could give us a booth like right now." I should have done it. But that goes along with the whole, not bartering, but,
Yeah.
haggling.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Now, what you want to get to is a $20 bill in your hand.
Yeah, but I was like, $20? Yeah.
Is there any way? And he grabs the 20 and goes, no.
Yeah,
I would respect that.
but it was good food. Definitely would go back. And then we bought a new couch. Went to Ashley Furniture. And got
nice.
a new couch.
Is it up there right now?
No, not
Ashley,
yet.
take care of you?
They did.
Good.
Actually, Laura from Ashley Furniture. She was very helpful, very nice. Took her time.
That's Ashley's best friend.
Wasn't pushy, because like a lot of times you go into these furniture
Oh, they
places.
swarm.
It's like car sales, you know. They do swarm, but because she was right there at the ready. But she was nice, not pushy, very, very, very nice.
I've sorry, not to steal your story, but to come hopefully alongside. I've had good experiences at Levin also. Like I feel like, yeah, they want to sell you something, but they're also like, hey, I want to welcome you in. I'll be right over here if you need anything.
Yeah.
Like I appreciate when places are like that.
And I won't tell you similarly about your oven, Jay. She hooked us up, and it was awesome.
Little Memorial Weekend sale.
There was a sale going on, but there was a little additional something going on that she helped us with,
Pays to be nice.
which was great. And Sunday, I won. We had a drawing at work, and I won 3 tickets, 3 box seats to the Pirates game.
That's what I'm talking about.
So we all went, me, Amy, and Maggie. And I'll tell you, man, I say this every week. Broken record. Maggie is just so into softball or baseball, like just the
Did you
sport.
teach her how to keep score?
No,
Okay.
she's not there yet.
Well,
where were you sitting? I want the visual.
Box seats, first baseline,
Okay.
like right in the middle between second and first.
But down low.
Or first and
That's
home.
home
maybe.
first.
Yeah. Sorry. Between home and first. Yeah. Great seats, straight on with the jumbotron.
I
so you can
love
see-
that right along the first base line.
There's not a bad seat,
my favorite.
really. But the first baseline is great because you're dead on with the jumbotron and you can see everything really good. Third baseline, you get the skyline of the city view, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But great ballpark. But she paid attention the whole time. Like she watched the game the whole time. We got free food.
Oh, that's the best
In the
food.
box, the dessert cart came by. We had to buy stuff from the dessert cart. It wasn't part of the deal, but
Package.
they had free beer and free pop and all that
What?
kind of
That's
stuff.
the best kind of beer.
I'm like getting tingles from you guys.
It
That
was
was awesome.
the best. It was the best.
and you're like
then
super dad.
Maggie.
Did she wear her softball uniform?
No, she wore a new pirate shirt that Amy had got
Oh, okay,
her.
cool.
And then it was a family day at PNC Park, so she got to run the bases after the game.
Wow,
Oh, that's
that's
right, on
awesome.
Sundays.
She,
Yeah.
she
Long
loved
way to
that.
go.
It was awesome. You know what? So they have this down to a science. Because like when we were back, so the line forms in that like behind the outfield on the outer edge.
Mm-hmm.
And like we keep on walking, we're going down the line. We keep on walking. I'm like, oh my gosh, how long are we gonna wait for her to run these bases? And the game ends, and we're waiting. Luckily, there's things for them to climb on and do stuff back
that's
there.
cool.
Oh.
Like there was a pirate ship, and you could climb up like the sails, quote unquote.
Where is this?
It's if in the
Like
in,
under the stadium?
no, it's like it's in the the outside area of the outfield.
Oh, the outfield.
all along
Okay.
the back.
All right. I was envisioning running the bases like they're back behind home plate somewhere.
So
Yeah, but no. Sorry.
No, because he said behind the outfield.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was what clued me in on it.
So the line starts moving, and I'm like, okay, we're finally moving. We move like 4 feet, and I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
And you don't want to abort because she's probably still excited.
And there was a
and-
moment I was like, do you really want to do this, sweetie girl? And
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, I really want to. I was like, okay. I was like, we're gonna be here till 8:00. But once things like really started going, they just move people through because really it's just running the bases.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just get the
So,
line moving. Yeah.
the line goes all along that outskirts of the outfield. You go almost like out to the street and make a U-turn down into this entry ramp, which brings you out to the end of the first baseline out in the outfield there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And you're just moving, you're just walking, and then once they get to first base, they start at first base,
Okay.
run the bases to home, you meet your kid at home, and then you just walk out. So it's just like everybody's just shuffling through, and you know,
That's awesome, though.
It was
It's
really-
kind of crazy being on field level.
Yeah, it is.
Of a place that big.
It's cool. It's cool. And like seeing her face and like watching her like round the bases and pass all these other kids, I was like, yeah, get it. Then she wanted to do it again. I was like, yeah, they're probably not going to let us do that. We got to go. But it was great. It was a great day. And then Memorial Day, she was in the parade as a joyful twirler.
Indeed, she was.
And that was fun. My parents were there. Amy's dad was there. All the Mitlow clan was there.
They were there. Big guy being the
Big guy
honorary
was-
marshal.
Yes,
That's
yes,
exciting
in the
too, yeah.
parade.
And what was great, and I think it was Mary Lynn pointed out,
Hers were there too. Just wanted to get that in there.
the hers,
Yes.
not Mary Lynn's.
Right, the hers.
Is,
Brian and
you know, the joyful twirlers go by and we're screaming Maggie's
Yeah.
name. And I mean, she's not breaking and she's looking straight ahead. And then we yell Amy. And it's so funny because she's on the other side of Maggie.
Yeah.
And Marilyn goes, look how serious Maggie is and how she won't turn. She goes, meanwhile, Amy's soaking it in. Like, and we all yell Amy and she's waving at us. And she's like, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Hunters dancing, like it was great. It was so fun. Yeah, my brother was there, and it was just a great time. And
Wait,
then
was he with you, like, sitting
So-
with you guys?
he came late. It was when what's his name, Jerry
Oh, yeah.
Ciccarelli, or whatever his name is. He came right in time. I was like, "You're right on time." 'cause
I just feel bad I didn't say hi. I didn't even see him there.
Oh, okay. Well, it's funny because he had this like fedora hat on with these sunglasses. I was like, "You look like this like retired CIA agent, like going on vacation down in like the
Checking on one of
Caribbean
your
or something."
plants in the, parade.
He was like, "That's very specific." I was like, "I'm just calling it like it is." And but he came in, watched them, and then like when they after they passed by, I got to get out of there so I can meet them at the end of the parade. So like we bounced, but he went up and and Amy said that your brother came up and watched a little bit further because he didn't park near us, so he had to walk back up. But he stayed a little bit longer and watched her.
very nice.
Yeah, it was very nice. And then hit the grocery store on the way home, and we just hung out and just had a relaxing afternoon.
That's awesome.
And that was great.
Was your brother just in town for the weekend?
No, he lives here now. You knew that.
Mount Washington.
let me just pretend I didn't forget that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Eric's good friends know that.
Yeah.
But all that say, like, that's a packed
was a
weekend,
lot.
like I said.
And it was all good.
And it was all good, and it wasn't overwhelming, and good weather for everything. Very rarely do we get the weather we did on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think it's always been pretty nice. Because we've
last year it was cold and rainy. Not rainy, but spitting. It's either raining or it's
90.
stinking hot.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
it's
was gonna say I remember
it's
more 90 degrees.
too hot too soon. Like our blood's not
Yes.
ready for it yet.
Sure.
Kind of thing.
Certainly not ready now.
It is not.
No, if we had a sunny day, we would put that right at the head of the table.
Boom.
And here we are at the head of the table. We would like to thank Groot, Hooked on Jesus podcast. We would like to thank Laurie Ann, Bethany Jaworski, Mary Lynn, Ashley Cesarato, and Breaking 90. These folks sit at the head of the table, and they get the credit for helping this podcast go. And they get there by going to lunchtimeinrome.com and becoming a paid subscriber. We haven't had a new person sitting at the head of the table for quite some time. So I think I'm going to go ahead and offer you're going to be at the headest of the table.
Yeah.
Our next person is going to be at the headestest. Well, no, the headest of the table.
Yeah.
Maybe in another month or two, we'll offer somebody the headestest of the table.
That's an exciting offer, though.
But it really is. We're as much as Laketon TV and Appliance and Ashley Furniture, they support what we do by supporting us. You folks who sit at the head of the table make this podcast go, and they reduce the level of noise that we experience in trying to put this podcast out. And noise is something we talked about last week. If you were not with us, you can pick up from where we left off, but then go back and listen to episode 284. Is my thinness my fault? Should I unplug and replug?
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
All right. What did you think about last week there, Chris?
So I was reflecting on, the definition of what noise is versus what noise isn't. And I think in the basic sense, it's distraction, right? But take your time. But I think that can vary for, so you can have your own definition of what noise is. But I sort of came to the conclusion that it's definitely stuff that isn't really or shouldn't maybe affect you personally. This is my working definition. It's stuff that, I know this is all for debate, but it's stuff that is out there, stuff that is infringing on your sense of peace. But it's not stuff that necessarily is just things that you have to deal with in your own. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I would agree with you in part.
Okay.
And what I would say is that is if we're beginning to be cognizant of it, that is what noise seems to be. Mm-hmm. The origin of the story is Kathy Herensky on her deathbed saying that her sister's arguing about politics is all noise and that politics is all noise. And we defined it last week as really an attack on relationships from the enemy, from the devil, that is trying to destroy and distract and blow up relationships. But more than that, taking your focus away from God and what he has in store for us. And so the very beginning, I would say the entry-level noise is certainly that which doesn't affect you, and yet you're choosing for it to bother you. Mm-hmm. You're choosing. And that's sort of where I wanted to pick up tonight is, Eric.
I was just going to say, because and I want to make sure I'm clear on this too. Because I believe you probably should care about politics, and you should care about your health and your finances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's important to not let it get in the way of relationships and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and that's where I am, is that it's not that, sure, politics affects you.
Yeah.
So in my definition of, it's only things that affect you personally. But what I mean is okay, yes, you can have opinions on politics and vote accordingly and et cetera. But there are so many talking heads out there and so many distractions and so many, everybody out there has an opinion and they all want to get their opinions into your head, and you really don't need everybody's opinion, I think. So that, to me, that's noise.
And I agree. And you guys both gave previews to where we're heading in the rest of our time here today, because like Eric, you said, Boy, these things do matter. We can't just not pay attention to them. But what last week was about is, and how it affects this week is, we have to look at really what are these things on a meta level or on a macro level. And so what I mean by that is these things that do impact us, or certainly, I guess, back to the beginning of Chris's point, the things that don't affect us, well, that's just noise that we choose to get involved in.
Yeah.
That's certainly noise. That's like the enemy's just like easy pickings. Like that one was too easy, too easy, too easy. But if we are placed here on this earth to love God and love others, then anything that distracts us from that is in fact noise. And so on, like I said, a meta level, it's what the enemy is doing. Yeah, it affects us. I'm not saying it doesn't affect us.
Sure.
But we can't hyper focus on it
Right.
or allow it to distract us from, like the example I use very often when I go visit, ideally, somebody who has lived a very long life and they're in a nursing home and they're like, I just don't know why I'm still here. And I'm like, well, maybe God has placed you here. I mean, of course, I join them and I comfort them. Maybe there's somebody here that needs you. Even though you need them for so much, maybe God is using you and strategically placed you in this place in this time.
Right.
Well, if they're woe is meing it to the extreme, the person that God wanted them to love and bless is going to walk into the room and deliver an apple because they asked for an apple, walk right out, and they miss the blessing.
Does that
Because
mean
they're focusing
they
on the
are their
noise.
own noise?
No, they're focusing on the noise, which is, I don't want to be in a nursing home.
Right.
Sorry.
No, that's what I meant, though, is like it's emanating from their own head.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
We have control over this.
Okay.
If we're cognizant of it.
Yeah.
And this goes back to last week
Oh,
and many weeks ago.
I was just gonna say, or it could be noise, like they're watching CNN or Fox News and they're just focused on what's happening on the TV rather than
Ooh,
you know
double noise.
right
Because they're mad they're in a nursing home.
Yeah.
So they're getting caught up in something like they can't control their life.
Yeah.
So they're going to go watch politics where they
Yeah.
think they have control
Right.
over everything else.
Right.
Is that double noise?
Yeah.
Or would that be noise squared?
It's the noisest.
True. But as I was saying, if you're not aware of your emotions, you'll be manipulated by your feelings.
Yeah.
And so if you're not aware of the noise, you'll be manipulated by it.
Yep.
And so at least you got a shot if you're aware of it. So, as we look at certainly politics is noise, certainly, if you think about it, can our health be noise?
So health's definitely, you want to take care of yourself. If for no other reason than you want to be there for your family and for others. And hopefully there's lots of good reasons to take care of yourself. But I think if you are so hyper-focused or so,
Neurotic?
hypochondriac a bit, like, now it's becoming noise.
Again, I agree with you, and I think that's a good answer. We have to remember what the definition of noise is. Noise is that which the enemy uses to distract us from God's love for us and God's purpose for us. And so, all of a sudden, you get sick. Or you're going to say, boy, does it increase your relationship with God or does it distract from it? If it's distracting from it, then it's noise. If you're hyper-focused and all you're wiping down every surface and triple masking and everything else, and you don't go out anymore because of the effects of 5 years ago in COVID, you're listening to the noise. So I think certainly finances, oh my goodness.
That's one of the noisiest.
It really is. Or even just your occupation or your performance. Like, oh, how's am I doing at work? Is my boss mad at me? Is my this? Is my that? It comes down to, and I think and it's something we could look at. Does somebody with a high need of security, are they the ones who are most susceptible to the noise? Or is it equally distributed to all emotional needs?
Can I throw this out there too with that one in particular, like occupation and with regard to your performance, or just that sounds like a good way to dispel the noise in that situation is like healthy relationships. You know what I mean? Like good communication and forming a healthy relationship with your coworkers and not feeling, I would think would take away from your tendency to feel like oh, I wonder if I'm doing okay, or I wonder if this person is mad at me for this, or you know what I mean?
You're saying if you have good relationships
Yeah.
at work or in your other relationships, the noise will have a less of an impact because you have a base level of trust that, okay, maybe I didn't have a great day at work today, but I know my boss knows who I am and I know who he is, and we'll work it out if it's not that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for sure. It's good. That's a good antidote to the noise, is maintaining good and solid relationships. But back to my question, is security the number one emotional need, or is it all? Because you think about, well, if you have respect everywhere you go, if you have this huge high need for respect, then your finances are going to be a matter of you because you want to make sure people look at you in a positive light, and you don't want to lose your job because then you look like the guy who doesn't have a job and you know what I mean? Like, or support, or I don't know. It was just, I think if you do have a high need of security, noise is always right around the corner.
Yeah.
Because you're going to worry about things if you're not properly managing it.
Yeah. I mean, I would say,
You're nonplussed by my observation.
well, I guess it's because like I don't have a high need of security.
But I think you also do a pretty good job of avoiding the noise.
Sure, but my mind more goes to my need of what?
Don't say mine.
The needs I have are acceptance and belonging, and if I'm at work, I don't want to upset my boss and do something wrong, or sometimes I like there have been moments that I haven't felt like I was included or part of the team,
Right.
and that hits me. But then I do have to remind myself, no, dummy, like your boss loves you, so and so loves you. Like it's not like that's the enemy trying to get you. And it's just noise. Like, because you didn't get invited to this doesn't mean that they don't like you. It's just that you're not a part of that, and it's fine. Like, you don't need to be there. That kind of thing. So,
Right. So I agree with you.
yeah, I don't think it's security needs it the most. I think it's very much whatever your emotional need is, and then that's how much it affects you, given the situation.
So or would we say, depending on how much of it, so you're saying it applies directly across all emotional needs,
Yeah.
not just security. So you're saying, no, it's not security is the highest,
Right.
but is increasing with the amount of need you have for that.
Right.
But so if somebody has a super high need of acceptance, they're going to see a lot of noise and being rejected,
Yeah.
equal to the amount if somebody has a high need of security
Yeah.
that they would have
Yeah.
with things. Good
Yeah.
point. I like it. So one of the things that has occurred to me lately, and I shared this in church the other day, but that if you look at this world, meaning literally this world, like not the godly world, but this world, is really, that we read last week that Satan is the god of this world, that he has the ability to do what he wants within parameters, that so much of this world is just set up as a script. And I want to say a movie for you to be a part of, that everyone that you don't know personally is playing a role in that script, which is aimed at distracting you from God and what he wants from you.
Yeah.
And that like the politicians and the people that you follow that you like, those are the protagonists. And then the people that are on the other team and the bad side and the other political party, or even if you're a big USA guy and everybody else in the world are our enemies, they're the antagonists. And the sports people that we follow and the authors that we like and the musicians and everything else, those are the healthy distractions and the fluff pieces that kind of get you from one thing to another. And then the people that for lack of a better term, algorithm sends your way, which are directly opposite and really get under your skin. Well, that's the agitator. It's all the components of a movie,
Yeah. If Brian was here, he'd say it's a simulation.
if you will, a simulation. Maybe Brian was never here.
Oh, you just blew my mind.
But I think that's a really healthy way to stay out of the noise, to avoid being swept up in it, because then you go, wait, I'm being manipulated. I'm too bought into this movie, and I'm not checking in with God saying, what do you want me to do in this moment? What do you have for me in this situation? And I think if we can cognitively understand that, I think that we have a better job of not getting swept up in it. And what happens as we get trapped into and listened to and affected by the noise, basically one of two things happens. And this is sort of what you said earlier. One, because you said, well, the noise is important.
Right.
There are things in the noise that is important, like you should pay attention if a tractor trailer smashed into you and ripped your left arm off. It's a bad analogy. I don't know where I was going with it. If you had your arm, say I'll go with a real life story.
So you
If
get a
your
rash.
arm is
and
out
you
the
gotta-
window, if your arm is out the window in your green Vega, and a gas truck loses its brakes and sideswipe and hits you from behind. Vega was a car in the 70s
I know what
that my mother was driving as we were making a left onto Salzburg
Oh
Road
my gosh.
and rear-ended us. However,
would
if
make
he
a
would have
noise.
sideswiped, he could have taken her arm right off because she had her arm out the window.
Oh, yeah.
You do need to pay attention to your severed limb,
Right.
but you don't want to go completely ballistic and then go on a rampage killing all people who drive oil trucks.
Right.
So number one is everything we've talked about. You get swept up in the noise. You get distracted. You become manic. You become all the places where hurts go. You fill yourself with guilt. You feel like, oh, you don't deserve to live outside of the noise or whatever the noise looks like. You're fearful. You're angry. All those things. But the other is, which is what you were warning us against, Eric, is too often, and we see this very often in Christian circles. Oh, it's all noise. It doesn't affect me. Oh, I fly with the eagles. I'm up here with the Lord. I'm not worrying about anything down there.
Yep.
Well, then the noise is one again. You've detached. So when as you get enmeshed with the world and the noise, like you're some sort of a hero in this script that has been written for you, or it doesn't exist, nothing exists, and then God can't use you that way either because you don't relate to anybody. You're not with anybody. You are never affected, I'm putting air quotes, by anything. So how can you truly comfort anybody? Because you've never been through anything because you're flying up here with the eagles. You're above it all. So both ways, the enemy and the noise wins. And we don't want that. So as we head towards a solution, to me, it's just a couple steps. And it's sort of, I don't like to teach the negative. But number one is, don't get caught up, in the controllable noise.
So that's kind of what I was talking about. Like, turn social media off for a while.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I'll do that now. Like I've said this to you guys, I think privately. I don't think I've said it on the podcast. Oh, that's so funny. Sorry, I got a voicemail and I thought there was more noise, but it's not.
Technically
speaking. What'd you say? I lost it.
I was saying,
Don't get caught up in the noise, turning the stuff off.
the easy
what
stuff.
I haven't shared with anybody is, we're facing an impending race war in our country. And I know that because as a looking from the outside into social media, I can literally see it being stoked.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I get out my phone and I look, and when I see enough of that, I go, okay, they're still doing it. And I have to look at another app or I go do something else. So yes, you can detach from that for a time being and whatever else. Recognize it for what it is. Don't get caught up. And again, in the controllable noise, which means you also can't detach from the noise that you can't control. Your severed arm. Still need to cauterize it. Maybe go see a surgeon. I don't know. So the controllable noise we need to not get caught up in. I wrote, accept the other noise, but don't let it distract you. Like, okay, so this has happened. Okay, God, so what should we do with this?
Yeah.
The noise that matters. So number one is don't get distracted by the noise that doesn't matter. The noise that does matter.
How do you deal with it?
Right. Okay. Well, so God, what are we doing with this? Hey, this is a tough situation here. Wow. I wonder what we're going to do with that. And then second to lastly, don't check out. I talked to a guy tonight and he's like, man, I feel like life's a roller coaster and I just want to get off. And I get that, but you can't, by the way, unless and I don't think that was what he was saying. But it did occur to me. You can't detach. You can't sever relationships. You can't isolate. You can.
Well, let me ask you
I
this.
kind of like to just
Put
attach.
on a record, if but for a
on
short
some
while.
vinyl.
Right.
know.
It could be healing for,
I do have a question about that
Sure.
because I want to define detach.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you an example.
Yep.
I was at a family reunion. I won't say which side. I won't even say if this was at one of Amy's family reunions. It was just a family reunion.
You just went to a random family
You may
reunion.
not have been related to anybody there.
I might have not been. And the person was, saying like, let's get to know each other a little better. Like, for instance, I would like to know where Eric stands politically. And I was like,
Wow, there's a place to start.
well, on one hand, I'm really glad that nobody knows where I stand politically. Like,
Did you say that?
No.
Oh.
I was like,
This is what's happening in your head.
yeah, and this was years ago. And I was like, there's no reason to talk about that. And that's kind of where I went. I was like, I'm not gonna join that conversation.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that right now because
So your question is that detaching?
yeah, like
Oh, no, that's avoiding the
Avoiding
noise.
noise, yeah.
Okay,
That's the controllable
okay.
noise.
You did
And
it.
You said, "Oh, I'm not dipping into that." And you say, and I mean, no, detaching would be you never go to that family again. You never go to any function there.
Right.
Like, not saying I've done that, but
Yeah,
no, that's what detaching is.
Okay. All right.
Or in the exact opposite.
Because like I was just wondering like should I engage that?
No, I would
Not, especially not in that setting.
No,
and not in
that's
that,
a big
that's
FU with
weird.
all the respect.
Oh, I'm telling you.
But I mean, I might say, you know what? I am so honored that there's parts of me that you don't know yet that you'd like to get to know. And I think we can find some others. But I'm so grateful that there's parts of me that you want to get to know. But I think there's a whole lot of others that are more valuable for this conversation.
Yeah.
Jerk. You said, boy, that's ironic because I don't give a rat's rear end about yours. And I value the fact that you want to know mine. But let me just tell you something. You really don't. Okay? So that's how we are.
Yeah.
So don't detach. Don't just sever relationships or act like you're far above it. Like I think in a way
Yeah.
you can detach by saying, yeah, I believe this and just set the whole world on fire or,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no, you need to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Groot needed this tonight. Oh, good. I thought you meant like needed it earlier.
Oh, nice. Thanks, buddy.
That's awesome.
Groot said, "This is something I needed tonight. Thanks, y'all. The Lord is guiding y'all on this topic."
Man.
He's Southern. He says, "Y'all." Love Groot.
No, but that means the world does, Groot. Thanks.
Yeah.
Because full disclosure, we prayed before this and we said, God, we're so grateful for this. We're grateful for the relationships in this room. And if you use this, man, that's bonus. And so we appreciate you so much for saying that. And I'm glad that you needed it and it's in timing.
Yeah.
Because the way he wrote it, I thought like he detached earlier and now he's got to go back. Like, oh, I needed this tonight.
It's amazing how the Holy Spirit works.
Phew, if you just don't get distracted by the noise.
Bingo.
And that is the last step is, you got to seek God within you, not the fact that you are God within you, but the Holy Spirit, for those who have decided to follow Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior and have given their lives over to him, he has promised them his very Spirit. And man, do we ignore him so much. And so how do I know when do I need to engage and when not to engage? What is noise that I can control? Because it's all, everything bad, the enemy's trying to screw you up. And God's like, no, I have a purpose for you in it. Well, how do I know what to do? Oh, well, that comes back to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And you say, God, and it's not, we want it to not, we want it to be black and white.
Right.
We want it to be binary, yes, no, always this way, always that way. Why? Because then we don't have to pray anymore.
And we want to be like 100% protected from the noise and,
Well, and going back to my example with the whole, I want to know what Eric's politics are. Like, it is like, well, what difference does it make?
Doesn't.
Have I always treated you with kindness and respect? Mm-hmm. So what does it matter?
It was a noise trap.
It's a noise trap.
Was a noise trap.
yeah, we got to
Noise
coin
trap.
that term.
Yeah. Noise
It was
trap.
a noise trap.
Okay.
The enemy was like, what about this? Yeah, see if he'll bite. See if he'll bite. And by the way, it's like a double noise trap. Because if you answer, then you're given into the noise, and guess what? Kaboom.
Right.
But you probably walked away from the going, who is he think he is? Putting me on the spot in front of everybody else. So you didn't give into it, but it's still affecting you and filling your head.
Yeah.
Whereas the proper response, I'm not saying you did that, but it's probably very possible.
Yeah.
You go, I'm not falling for that. And I'm going to love that guy no matter what. That's too bad he's that way.
Right.
Oh, now we've avoided the noise, and you can maybe shoot him a note. Hey, it was great seeing you at the picnic. Take care.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome stuff right there. Blameless.
And that is it for episode 285.
What?
Join us next week for episode 286. And man, we're going to take a little brief
Yeah.
because Groot just chimed in again, and he says, I've been struggling with all sorts of noise. And Groot, I think a lot of people have.
That's why we're doing
That's
this.
why we're doing this.
The fact that he's aware of
segment
it?
the series.
The fact that he's aware of it?
Yeah, you're already
You're
ahead
ahead of
the game.
most.
Head of the game, buddy.
But I'm going to be praying for you, Groot, that you have that discernment and you're like, the noise ninja. I don't know. No, I'm
the
trying
noise ninja.
to avoid the noise trap.
That's right. All right. Between now and next week, please give us a like or follow on social media and visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, please take our relational needs questionnaire. Thanks for joining us at the table for Lunchtime in Rome. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.